What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Will Brinson here, along with RJ White, Kenj Brooks, and Danny Brasco to preview. I mean, it's a banger. This is a perfect Thursday night game. Steelers at Browns. Lakeside. Weather involved. Just two questionable quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and a lot of rushing attempts. What's up, guys? How we doing? RJ?
I feel like I haven't been here for a while. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. I thought you I thought you got offended by something and like I'm out.
I had to go see the Sixers play Monday night against Miami. Spend a little time.
Oh, nice.
It was a disgusting game. And Joel Embiid decided to play after I had multiple parlays with him assumed not playing with Drummond rebounds. So not only did he play, but he screwed up my parlays, and he looked terrible doing so.
Dagger. Ken's in the house. When are you going to join the Discord channel? Hey, shout out to me. I joined the Discord channel. I am in there after much haranguing and harassment. I filed an HR complaint. They said that didn't apply. Get in the Discord channel. So I'm in the SportsLine Discord channel. Go to sportsline.com. If you're not a member, what the hell are you doing? Use sportsline.com/join if you're not. Promo code winner, 60% off an annual subscription. And at Sportsline, there is a link to join the Discord to get you in there. If I was able to do it, I think through discord.gg/sportsline, but we've had some sync issues there apparently. RJ, how are you on this fine Thursday? Seeing you for the second time.
Yeah, I joked about this in the Discord. I had over 1,500 for how many members would there be before Brinson signs up. He ended up being number 1,000, we think. It might have been 999, but I think it's 1,000. So Will's new nickname is Mr. 1,000. And they say, oh, must have really good picks. He hits them all. It's like, well, no, it just took him that long to join the Discord.
Worth noting, somebody in the chat pointed out correctly, Jay Kane. Yeah, smack that Monday Night Football parlay. How about it?
Yeah.
And it involved Joe Mixon. It involved Joe Mixon scoring 2 touchdowns, and it happened in the first 5 minutes. Thank God I was in a legal state for betting.
Mixon has made you a ton of money this season.
He really has.
Rushing yards. You cashed in on some big 100+ games he's had. So that's awesome.
I have no Joe Mixon in fantasy or best ball, unfortunately, which is a dagger. If you got questions, Kens is in the Discord, by the way, according to J-Rod. Sorry, Kens.
Thank you, J-Rod. I wasn't entirely sure, but he is right. I am in there.
Is Discord too old for you? There's some other different chat that people your age.
I really didn't know what a Discord was until last year when I joined Sports.
So the answer is yes, Brinson, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So it's Discord's too young for me to fully grasp. Discord too old for kids to fully grasp. Yeah. That's where we stand. All right. If you got, ouch. That's about right. If you've got, I wore a non-striped shirt for you guys tonight. This is a Patagonia shirt from 1975.
Okay.
If you guys have questions for player props or the game, put them in the comments. We will answer them when we get to those sections. I'm sure we have a lot of player props. I mean, I'm not sure I'd be on a ton of overs here, but let's get to the game itself, which features. Oh, yeah. Look at Nada with the Photoshop Russell Wilson in the NC State jersey. Here we go. I think that's State. No, not Wisconsin.
And Jamison FSU.
Yeah, Jamison FSU. One won a national title, and the other went 5-7 one year. I'll let you figure out which one is which. Danny, I'll let you lead off because, man, you talk about an Aaron Judge style hanging curveball wheelhouse for your favorite pick of the season. Browns, Steelers, 2 ugly offenses, 2 run-heavy teams, although the Browns have passed a lot more this year than I think people expected. Bad weather, Thursday night. Who cares what the total is, right?
Yeah, we got to do it. I care a little bit. I care about the number 37 because we know about that 2017 result. So I want you guys to get 37. It's starting to drop to 36.5 on some books, but BetMGM still has 37, so grab it there. And yeah, we're going to go to the wheelhouse and pick the under here in a game that's expected to be affected by weather. Now, speaking of the SportsLine Discord, and you guys know it in the chat, my guy RJ is part-time meteorologist now. He's been scouting the weather county by county in Cleveland there, and it looks like we're going to have rain in the beginning portions of the game at least, and heavy winds throughout. So I do expect the pass game to be affected a little bit. We already know that the Cleveland Browns are having their kicking woes. Dustin Hopkins missing 2 last week, including a 27-yard chip shot. So wondering where the confidence is there, well, not only with him, with the coaching staff to trot him out there in weather. So that could take away points off the board potentially. And the Browns have just struggled on offense. Going up against the Steelers defense, I think it's going to be tough sled. And they've scored 16 or fewer points in 7 of 10 games. Jameis, he had that debut game against the Ravens where they ended up scoring, I think, 29 points. But the Ravens dropped 3 interceptions out of their hands, and they put their hands on those balls. That score looks a lot different. So I think he's going to continue to struggle against the pass rush here. This doesn't have enough weapons on offense, and I don't think they contribute their portion to the total. Heavy run game. You said it, Brinson. We got to go roll under. And I'm threading in my second pick as well within this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm going with Browns team total under 16.5. Like I mentioned, 7 out of 10 games this season. And, TJ Watt and that pass rush, Cam Hayward, shout out Cam Hayward, who I chilled with at Super Bowl week a couple of years ago and had some In-N-Out burger with. Super cool guy. They're coming after him, man. I know Alex Highsmith is out, so that takes away a little bit from the pass rush. And this Cleveland Browns offensive line is getting a bit healthier. I still think that Jameis is going to be under duress, and he's going to have to check down. He's going to be under pressure. It's going to force them into 3rd and longs. They're just going to struggle. So I'm going to take the Browns team total under. I'm going to take the full game under 37 as well.
I like it. I'll tell you what, while we're here, let's just toss up the weather situation because there's Nada has it queued up. Kevin Roth, who works for Roto Grinders. Yeah, Roto Grinders, I believe.
Think of this here.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm an amateur meteorologist. That's what happens when you hit your 40s. It's going to be cold out there. He says, worth noting that winds are coming in a little hotter in Cleveland than what models were showing earlier. Current forecast, and this was at 5:45 p.m. Eastern time, sustained winds 15 to 20, gusts 25 to 30. That is, of course, on top of the wintry precip mix. Now, I want to note that CLE fan, who's always in the chat, and obviously, I assume, lives in Cleveland, says no rain, is cold here, but not much precipitation. It is just north of the stadium off the lake. I expect a little to no moisture in the stadium with windy and cold conditions. So,
and Brinson, always wind more important than rain for unders. Wind always more important than rain.
For sure. And the magic number is 15. When you get 15 mile at like 12, problematic. 15, big issue for the total, big issue for passing. That's just what they've shown. Now we do have, Jameis can let it rip through probably anything. Russ, I'd be a little scared about letting Russ chuck it deep in like heavy windy stuff, even like he's a good deep ball passer, but at his age and maybe Jameis not as strong as he was. I'm on the under too. I just think we're gonna see a lot of running.
You're really gonna leave me alone out here and take the under? You're banning the over side?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. I think we see the Browns. Okay, I'll get into this later, but I think that Nick Chubb is going to have his best game of the season. I think the Browns are going to run the ball really well, even against Pittsburgh's good defense. I think it'll be an inspired game plan from Cleveland for Nick Chubb, who broke his leg against the Steelers last year. And I want that may have been a Thursday night game. Let me look. I've got his game logs open, actually. It was a Monday night game. So, but primetime game in Pittsburgh, crazy scene, brutal for Nick Chubb, who's like one of the best dudes on the planet. Georgia guy, one of my favorite running backs ever to play football. And so I think they're going to be inspired to come out and run the ball really well. I think Pittsburgh, in windy conditions, knowing that they have the better defense and the better offense overall, will try to establish a run too. And I just think we're going to see a lot of rushing attempts. And so I'm going under here. But if the weather is not as bad as we think, and we find that out once we get down, once we can't see the pregame now, but I mean, depending on what happens.
We got pregame right in the chat. Cleveland fan said starting to snow here in the stadium, light flurry.
Okay, bad. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think less so based on what the locals are saying and what we think from our amateur meteorology is. It's less so we're going to see like a sleet storm, nasty, wet field, and more so just freezing cold and windy and that bone-chilling wind, and that can
we have seen some games where the wind is coming in off of the lake. And again, I'm not a Cleveland guy. I've been there like once maybe, but like we've seen some games where the passing numbers are so suppressed by the wind. And I think that you have two coaches who, either Mike Tomlin, who's pretty conservative and he's going to let his team win the way he wants to win, and they've won all year. And then Kevin Stefanski, who's dealing with Jameis Winston, where this is not a game you want to let Jameis just cut it loose all the time. I just think we're going to see two conservative game plans on a Thursday night. Classic AFC North football. I think it goes under. RJ, what do you have in terms of side or total?
Before we get to my pick, so it's 36.5 most places, but in a lot of books you can bet half points all the way up and down. Yep. So I wanted to bring up at BetMGM, 36.5 is what they're posting on their main number, but it's minus 115 to the over, minus 105 to the under. Would you play that, or would you play the 37 minus 125 under, or would you even go up to 37.5 minus 130 on your plays? What do you guys think?
Oof. It's an important number for sure that when we're in this territory. I think I would pay up to minus 125 for it, but it is getting pricey at that point. But it is an important push condition to have.
Sure. And if you think that it's going to hit the push, do you just pay the extra 5 cents, get to 37.5, or do you just stick at the 125?
Yeah. I kind of like the 37.5. I don't mind that.
Okay. Yeah, I figured I'd bring that up because we're talking about 37s and people might look at their app and see 36.5, but you just have to go in and look for those all totals. You can play basically any number you're looking for. I'm taking the Browns. I like getting over a field goal in what's expected to be a low scoring game affected by the weather. Cleveland's left tackle is a problem. Wills is out. Jones is on IR. But I don't think there's going to be much passing in this game anyway. So I don't think it's a major problem. Pittsburgh has failed to cover 10 straight games as 3.5-point favorites or more prior to an 8-point win over the Giants a month ago. But that included a long punt return touchdown. It was a pretty close game. It wasn't indicative of Pittsburgh dominating that game in any sense. So this just feels like a game that Pittsburgh has trouble covering this number. And in these conditions, low scoring environment, I think you want to get the plus 3.5 here. We liked it as a look ahead pick last week at plus 4.5. Grabbed it on Monday at plus 4.5. I would still lean that way at plus 3.5.
Did you put any stock into Mike Tomlin's losing record on Thursday Night Football? 9-10. I think he's terrible against the spread too.
No, I don't. Another interesting thing. What was it like? They've never beat a divisional opponent on Thursday. I think was another one.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's like 0-12 or something on Thursdays.
I think it's like 0-8 with 1-7 ATS or something like that. They covered once. Now most of those they're underdogs. So that's if you don't get the straight up win and you're an underdog almost every time.
You mean you're favored most of the time? You mean?
No, they're underdogs. So the fact that they haven't got a straight up win.
Oh, right.
It's surprising if they're plus 3.5 every game.
Yep. Kens, what does the model like this evening?
Thy model leans Steelers. I wouldn't call it a play. I'm certainly, telling everybody and their mother to be on to make the case just to play devil's advocate for the Steelers. I do think this pass rush will give Winston a very hard time, and we'll start to see the turnover-prone Winston we truly love and know. On top of that, the Browns kind of just vibe check-wise could feel like a team that has given up. And you could say that about the New Orleans Saints, could probably be the poster child of a team that's given up, and they crushed the Browns. So where do we really stand there? And even with the Steelers, they beat the Ravens, but not an awesome game, I'd say. I don't think it was the Steelers' best game by any means. So obviously the ceiling's even higher for them. Floor's in the basement for the Browns. But with all that said, I understand it's a divisional game. I understand the weather. It's hard to cover any type of spread in these conditions, especially when you have that hook there. It's very ugly. So again, I got some props. I got some touchdowns. That's where I give the team some green check marks. But this is explaining the model's logic and thinking here. Yeah,
they're when we do, just for full disclosure, when we do the rundown, it's like it happens every show, regardless of who's producing. It's like, what is your pick against the spread or the total? I fill one out every time, even if you know what I mean. But like Sia is the only one who's like, I'm passing here. Like he's the only one who's reasonable enough to be like, nah, I'm good. And I usually have a play on the spread or the total anyway. Let me see if we have anybody.
And Brinson, while you check out the chat, I wanted to mention too, to kind of to both sides, because I saw the model right in line with my Browns team total under 16.5. Model had 16, model had 37 right there. So it looks like we're right on par. But to RJ's points about the Browns, although I made a case that they'll have struggle scoring the ball, I wasn't ready to lay that 3.5 on the Steelers. It doesn't feel like against the 2-8 Browns, who, like Ken's mentioned, just got pummeled and bossed around by the Saints and just like kind of just kept shooting themselves in the foot with silly mistakes. Shouldn't they be like minus maybe plus 5.5, 6.5, even at home? Like you said, they're on the brink. It looks like they're on the brink of giving up. So I do feel a little bit of the heebie-jeebies with this one, and it feels like a potential letdown spot for Pittsburgh. I could see a 17-14 type game where maybe they even drop it. So yeah, I wasn't willing to play the spread, and I think RJ makes some points, some good points for the Cleveland side.
The only thing that I could rationalize an over for is maybe a Steelers team total over if they get short field opportunities from turnovers and interceptions.
Or pick sixes with Jameis Winston.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like Winston could put them in a situation to have overs just from turning the ball over. But that's the only way. This question right here, I answered in the chat as well. So the model does take into account wind. We've had conversations about this back and forth, unless it's like torrential downpour rain. Rain to us isn't necessarily affecting games. It is the wind, though, that we will start to downgrade offenses and just, their accuracy as well.
I was thinking the question you got to ask yourself is how sharp will these coaches be? If you have this wind swirling and field goals are a problem and extra points are a problem, even from that range, are they going for 2? Does it screw up the math that you're counting on for this game of staying over and under? Because we get some, 8-point touchdowns instead of 7-point touchdowns. So it's going to be interesting to see which of these coaches decide, we're just going for 2. Try to get in from 2 yards out with a push rather than trying to kick a field goal in this weather.
And I think, too, there's a decent chance that Tomlin will be willing to kick field goals and kick those extra points because Boswell's been so good kicking in Pittsburgh where, it's not necessarily easy to
is that
kick.
going to hurt to kick this ball tonight, RJ? Is that going to hurt their foot?
Are you asking RJ as the former professional kicker?
I feel like RJ would give me the best answer, so I'm asking.
She thinks I'm John Breach. No, I don't think so. It's not that cold. I mean, if it was that Kansas City game, it was -10 maybe, but I think the conditions aren't that bad.
Okay.
I think that we're way more likely to see Pittsburgh kick than Cleveland kick. Would be my guess. Like I think Stefanski, nothing to lose. Maybe go for it on 4th down when he's close. If it's like in that range where he's not sure, just because that kicking game has been tough. All right, let's look at the inactives real quick. For Pittsburgh, obviously Alex Highsmith is out. That's the big one. Anything? And Jedrick Wills for the Browns. Anything stand out to you here, RJ?
Not really. I mean, Dante Foreman hasn't been a big part of the game plan since Nick Chubb has returned, so it's not really a big deal. We know it's going to be a Chubb forward type of game. Just the stuff we knew already, the Wills tackle thing is going to be an issue if the Browns are forced to pass a bunch and the conditions let them pass a bunch because they have to go back to your third string tackle. And we know all season that offensive line's been an issue when you get them backups in there.
Sorry, Bailey Zappi. Wow, what a heartbreaker! I'm really hoping to see some Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi might make a field goal with a pass attempt in this weather. Like, a ball gets up in the air and just floats backwards like through the end zone from like the 50-yard line. Sorry, wrong one. Somebody's asking where's Breach? I don't know. I haven't seen Breach in a while. He could be like an ayahuasca retreat or something like that. He actually is doing the Daily Pick Six newsletter, which you should check out on CBSSports.com. Okay. Moving along to player props. Danny, we'll start with you. You've got a pair of running back props, one receiving and one rushing.
Yeah, so typical spot that I like to take a running back's receiving yards prop is against a vaunted pass rush like the Steelers. So I'm going to go for the Browns running back, Jerome Ford, over 13.5 receiving yards. He's gotten 3+ targets in 6 out of 8 games this season. Now, of course, the beginning, the first half of the season was without Nick Chubb, but even after Nick Chubb returned, he still stayed on the field for about 50% of the snaps. He's their back in known passing situations, going to, be that third down passing back. And again, like I said, I think the Browns are going to find themselves in 3rd and long a bunch, and he's going to find himself on the field for those check downs that if the weather, really limits those air yards that Jameis, although he's known for just gunslinging and throwing no matter what, even when there's nobody in sight and 3 defenders, I think he'll be forced to check down. This game, we think, is going to come down to who can limit mistakes, who can run the ball better, right? So I think those key little third downs, you'll see Jerome Ford maybe catch a first down, 6-7 yards here, and we're getting there. He only needs a few targets to cash this low total. So I like his over receiving yards. And this one, I got to say, I ended up stealing from RJ, so I'll let him make some of the points on this as well. But loving Jaylen Warren over 31.5 rushing yards tonight. I know Najee Harris is going to be a very popular player tonight. I think I saw in the SportsLine Discord, someone mentioned he was one of the most bet props on the handle in BetMGM. It doesn't surprise me, right? We're all thinking run-heavy game plan. But I'm going to go to Jaylen Warren, who's cleared this in 4 straight games, is a really great complementary back to Harris who can run really hard. Warren does a lot of that the same, but his shiftiness ends up picking up yards, can play that combo back role, and I think he gets plenty of snap share in a game that, again, run-heavy. Jaylen Warren can clear this total once more. And, I'll let RJ pick up some more of the points that I love he made in his SportsLine write-up.
Yeah, I also point out that Proppy has Jaylen Warren, as somebody pointed out in the chat, over 54.5 receiving and rushing yards. He liked his combo line too. So I just think that it really sets up well for Warren here. We put it in over 32.5 at -120. It's up to -130 at MGM now. It seems like that's the side people want to be on. He's had 40+ rush yards and 9 carries in 4 straight. Key part of the game plan. And there should be a game script where running is the focus. So, you would figure he'd beat those averages and we'd be looking pretty good here. Cleveland tackling has just been awful the last few weeks. It's been pretty remarkable considering how good of a defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz is going to be, that his guys just don't know how to tackle now. So that their bad tackling may be worse in bad weather too. So you get some guys slipping off of Warren. You might be able to break tackles and pick up a big chunk of this on one play. I mean, he might have a 25-yard run in the first half, and we're not even sweating this by the time we get to halftime. So be interesting to see. It's a great matchup. 27th in yards per rush allowed for Cleveland. Gave up 214 in New Orleans. I know a lot of that was the Taysom Hill experience there, and Warren isn't Taysom Hill, obviously, but I think the volume's going to be there, and this is going to be a pretty easy catch for us.
I dig it. I am on 2 things. One involves Jaylen Warren. Somebody pointed out in the chat, I talked up Nick Chubb. I think he's having a great game. I really do. I believe that. I'm playing Nick Chubb as captain in my highest entry fee DFS tournament. He's like 5% owned at captain. I think it's a really good leverage point. Jaylen Warren, leading rusher in this game, is plus 475. That's a good number. What if he rips one long one off and Najee's just plotting and not getting a ton of, the Browns are stacking the box and Jaylen Warren's just in the house early and everybody else has to catch him. And the Browns maybe playing catch up, throwing to Jerome Ford, mixing Ford in there with Chubb, maybe a little bit more, or Mike Tomlin's like, screw it, I'm playing the hot hand because Warren's running well and keeps him out there. I think at almost 5-1 for Warren as the leading rusher, that is a good look just because he's getting around, I think, 45% of the rush attempts for the Steelers, and one long one, and you could be in a really good spot. So I like that. I also conversely, it's like my Cardinals. I was like, I have the Seahawks as the best bet. I would also tease the Cardinals. I said earlier on the Thursday show, and RJ gave me grief for it correctly. Najee Harris, anytime touchdown. I'm just on an anytime touchdown streak, so I'm going to keep riding it. Najee Harris is plus 105. I think that's too long. This is a guy that when the Steelers get down in the red zone, down at the goal line, they're going to feed Najee. Now, it might be just twice, but I think they can get in with Najee. I think he'll get a look. He just got to find the end zone once. Be careful with your touchdown scores tonight because you have a total of 37. We talked about that before that. Low scoring, low total game, like the Texans and the Cowboys we talked about on Monday. You don't want to do a bunch of anytime touchdown scorer parlays. I think though I'm comfortable doing it with running backs who are going to get the goal line work, particularly when I don't know if they're going to want to throw a bunch of passes by the goal line with quarterbacks who, Russell threw a pick last week that almost cost him the game at the goal line. Jameis, who the hell knows? So Najee Harris, anytime touchdown is my second one. Kens, you've got a pair as well.
Yes, I do have a pair, one from each side here. Some Georgia Bulldog energy coming in the house.
Yeah.
Darnell Washington. We have for over, I think that was a typo, could have been my fault, over 10.5 receiving yards is the play here. We have him for 17. He's averaging 11.7 yards per catch, so he really could just hypothetically hit this with one catch. But we talked about the weather and how short field passes might be a situation we're looking at. Danny was talking about it with receiving backs as well, so I think he will be a target. I know he's traditionally been a blocking tight end, but you look at the past 4 games, he's gone well over this in 3 of his last 4. In the game he went under, he still had 3 targets, so he is somebody that this team is looking to use offensively. Now, do I think it'll be in the red zone after the interception last week? No, but I do think it can be on all other parts of the field. So I think it'll be a part of this offense. Then Nick Chubb, we talked about it too. Over 52.5 now. You can find it at BetMGM. You can shop around for that number as well. We have him projected for 60. Again, not only just the weather in general being a factor, but the Steelers pass rush trying to get that ball out of Winston's hands, maybe avoid some turnovers as well, will be a very crucial part of the success of that team.
I have one more quick one to add too. I had Jameis Winston over 7.5 rush yards, minus 120. It's up to minus 125 at MGM. No, it's me. I just stopped talking when I ran out of breath talking about Warren and forgot all about Jameis. But he had 8 yards on 1 carry last week, 27 yards on 5 carries the previous game against, I think, a similar kind of team, a good Chargers pass rush, right, where he had to kind of get out of the pocket and pick up some yards. Weather conditions should make him more willing to pull the ball down and try to pick up yards with his legs. I even think in some 3rd and long situations where he doesn't want to do something dumb, he just pulls it down, tries to get 5 or 6 extra yards, and then get a better field position punt, for them. So I think he's going to get to 10 pretty easily in this one.
Yeah, it feels like a great spot for Jameis to run. And like, man, do I love watching Jameis Winston run. He's just like anything could happen. He could like pump fake it twice, fumble forwards, fumble backwards. You never know what'll happen. All-time Jameis Winston fan. Okay, some questions from the chat. Our boy Gipper's Pick says he bet Wilson. This is just a humble brag. I bet Wilson 175 passing yards 2 days ago and over 189.5 plus 130. Look, win games are always tricky because you don't know. And by the way, if you're watching on X, come join the YouTube chat, youtube.com/@SportsLine. I don't hate him. He's got to get 200 yards. That's a low number for an NFL quarterback. But if I don't hate it. Also betting over 30. I don't like the over 32.5 pass attempts personally, but maybe the Browns stop the run and they got to throw it. Who knows? Any thoughts on Calvin Austin under 1.5 receptions plus money?
I like that one. I like all the unders on receivers. And
I wonder what his yards is. I'm going to look at that quick.
You like the over yards under receptions?
No, I'm just saying maybe.
That's why I love those parlays. Like literally my absolute favorite.
Austin is right. If you want to ladder him up for like one catch and like one big catch, I mean the 25 plus yards is plus 115. So he's got to be sitting around 20 yards or so for his regular line. But I don't know. Kenz, do you like this here?
We have him for under 1.5 receptions, but for 22 yards. So that actually feeds right into Brinson's now. I know that we do downgrade for wind in the model. A number like that makes me feel like maybe not enough. So bet at your own risk. Technically, I'm not disagreeing with you here.
I just think Calvin Austin is the perfect, like one catch on a slant and he picks up 30 yards and doesn't catch another pass. And you have I'll look it up while we look at the rest of the chats. Anyone like both teams to score one field goal each half for 6-1? Not really.
I don't trust Hopkins anymore. He's on the naughty list after last week, man. You missed a 27-yarder, you're done in my books.
Yeah, give me 25-1. I'll think about it.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, Austin is only 15.5 receiving yards, and you can bet the under on his receptions at 1.5. Let's get 5.5 to 1.
On the other hand, Boswell is a stud. The guy's been one of the best kickers in the league.
Yeah.
Even with swirling winds, I bet you they trot him out there and he kicks it just right where it needs to be. Coriolis effect, what have you, these kickers know. I think Boswell gets it done either way. So if you want to bet on a kicker, I'd go with him.
Boswell's the Zach Galifianakis meme with the numbers over his head. And the wind's going all over the place, and he kicks it 90 degrees one direction. And somehow goes
Mike Williams get one catch. His line is only 6.5. Yeah.
I kind of like it.
You think he keeps it rolling after that big moment, sort of a proverbial,
Well, last week he didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, I think the big one was the week before.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when we count him out.
Down to 5.5 on FanDuel.
That is such a Ken's bet.
Oh, they won't do receptions for Mike Williams on FanDuel. Dang, I was gonna try and do the
Under
two player reverse correlation. Raymond asked thoughts on Calvin. Oh yeah, we talked about that one. I wouldn't bet Njoku. I have Njoku over 4.5 as the best bet. Personally, not on here. I wrote it up on the site. I should have included it. It was somebody in the chat, maybe Gippers, pointed out that you can get it minus 110. I didn't see minus 110 anywhere, but maybe I didn't look hard enough. Shop around. If you get minus 110 for over 4.5, I love it.
It's there right now. I'm seeing it seems lower than normal. His line's been at 5.5 throughout the season.
So I think there's a decent chance that, I mean, look, maybe Chubb isn't great. Maybe they have to pass more than we think. Maybe the Steelers give up the 12th most targets in the NFL to tight ends. Maybe Njoku is open and he gets the ball thrown his way and he catches 5 passes. I think the wind is probably knocking down the juice on that a little bit, but I like Njoku over personally. Especially if we have the Steelers as road favorites. I'm with RJ. I lean the Browns here, but if the Steelers were to get a big lead, then all of a sudden these over-unders for these receivers is out the window for the Browns. Elijah Moore and Njoku could all clear their overs.
Yeah, I think he's more likely to target Njoku than these receivers. So if you are wanting to, take a shot at some of these receiving props, my overplay would be on Njoku too, instead of like a Tillman or a Judy.
Okay, we answered Calvin Austin. I just bet reverse correlated parlay. I just put like $25 on it. Calvin Austin under 1.5 receptions. Calvin Austin over 15.5 receiving yards. So there you go. Warren, there were some Warren questions for under. You heard, Wilson under 11.5 rush yards.
Yeah, he's the one I wanted to play his over, but that's a high number. He just doesn't get much running. He'll have some 4 carry games for 5 yards type of thing. So, I think he gets a 6 or 7 carries, and maybe he gets to this number.
A lot of the times he's been having a lot of kneel downs for lost 2 to 3 yards, and I don't necessarily think that's going to be the situation he's in tonight. But I think that has skewed the number to this a lot. Like, I think if you look into him kneeling down, you'd find a lot different number than the bare eye.
So he does like the delayed kneel down where he's like, yeah.
I think it's likely though we also get like a first half kneel down too over a field goal attempt, right? So that you have to factor that into a little bit more of a chance for kneel downs in this game, probably, because you consider that.
If you like that, then attempts over yards. Then if you like the kneel downs, right?
If you're gonna play an over, attempts maybe.
You might hear that loud crash in my living room. Robbie went sprinting in all across the hallway, and all of a sudden, boom!
Rushing to get his first touchdown bet in, right?
Robbie, who do you want for first touchdown bet? I'll text you a list. Okay.
It's warming up for the game. You got to get ready.
Yeah. I asked him earlier. He said he didn't want to give one out. Njoku over 4.5 receptions at plus 112 or over 39.5 receiving yards at minus 122. I mean, I'm going receptions over yards here, I think, just because I don't think they'll throw downfield as much, personally. No TD, 30-1. Don't hate that.
That's what Tom Pernelli. I went on cover 3 this morning, and I was going on. I have my notes for NFL, my notes for college football, because I go back and forth all Thursday, and I went to do my cover 3 picks. I'm like, wait, these are my anytime touchdown props for tonight. And Tom was like, no touchdowns tonight. And I was
that is a quintessential Pernelli pick too. No one like unders or like Tom doesn't even watch adult stuff. He watches unders. He's like, give me a Jets Titans 9-3 score. That's what gets Tom, the blood flowing for Tom.
Me and Tom need to hang out. I haven't been introduced yet, but this sounds like my kind of guy, man.
Tom is an under. Tom, Chip Patterson, who also losing Raleigh, and Robbie Callan do a show called the Punt Cast. It's about punting. It's not about punting, but it's an under show. Not affiliated with CBS, so don't listen to it. Chubb over receptions, over 1.5 receptions, plus 240.
Interesting.
240.
Yeah, I think it's more likely to be Ford on the receiving, but it's a pretty low number. At 1.5, I needs 2. So I mean, it's an interesting play for a very small sprinkle.
And then Ford, our boy I Love Weed asked Ford 25 plus rush yards plus 145 on DK.
I'm not mad at that at all. I think he splits the carries up with Chubb. I mean, if we're all thinking it's run heavy game, if the win really does impact this game, like we're speculating, then he should get his share.
Pickens. Damn, I took take my chances. Damn, I took Pickens for 50 yards last night in my cook.
No, I don't think so. Because also, like, it's not the wind may not be a brick wall out there. They're not going to throw into it, and the ball's going to drop dead in the middle of middle of the field. I think there still will be passing and air yards thrown, but we're just concerned about the volume.
Hey, Pickens can get there on 2 catches and not
Right.
score. Like Pickens can go 5 for 570, 5 catches 70 yards, or 3 catches 70 yards. Steelers win easy. Like he can fit. You're fine on 50. Don't worry about it. Darnell
over
Washington
under right now 62, so the 60 as well. So the market doesn't think.
Yeah, so if you got,
thinks he's going to get to 60.
Yeah, so you got 50. You're good. Darnell Washington over 10.5 yards. Love it. Love Darnell Washington tonight. What else we got?
Some anytime tutties. I don't think they can all hit at once.
Oh yeah. Give out. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, sorry, we're running behind. Give out your anytime tutties.
All right, really quick. Russell Wilson.
Take your time. We're fine.
Well,
I got my DFS lineup set. I'm not rushing.
All right. All right. Well, I think just Russell Wilson at plus 625 is a pretty solid number for a guy who threw an interception in the red zone. Might feel like he wants to just take it in himself. This is a defense that is very familiar with his backs from just being in the division. And he really, if you break down the math, like the percent of team rushing touchdowns that Russell Wilson has to Harris are almost identical, like 36 and 39%. And one of those guys is at even money, and one of them's at plus 625. So take that for what you will. And then Tillman over here, we always act like it's all Judy, like it's Judy's world we're living in, but they have literally the same reception line. Like they have a lot of similar volume here. And again, it's just a play on a better price at plus 375. We would make it plus 180. So that's pretty solid value there. And then Freiermuth we're going with just in spite of Darnell Washington being the reason for the red zone end zone interception last week. So I think if you're going with the tight end, it's not going to be Washington. You go to a guy you trust in Freiermuth at plus 425. Also, I just remembered Tillman scored a touchdown in the last 3 weeks. So like, what are we doing here? Probably because of the weather. But tough to see all of these hit, obviously, with how many touchdowns we're projecting, but pick your poison.
By the way, this scared the ever-living crap out of me when CLE fan who's at the game posted this. He said, damn, no Chubb, crazy. I was like, he said what?
I just went to go look that up right now.
No, he meant on Kins's anytime graphic.
Probably means you would price him.
I was about to be like, oh, my internet died, and have to go fix some stuff.
When I'm showing those, it's like ones that we would price lower than the books are pricing. We'd probably like Chubb, but we probably like him at the same rate the books do. So there's no fluff there.
Yeah. Okay. That threw me for a loop. All right, I got a parlay for you. We're going for back-to-back. Go for our second parlay of the week. 5 legs, 25-1. Nick Chubb, anytime touchdown scorer. Nick Chubb to record 50 rushing yards. Najee Harris, anytime touchdown scorer. Najee Harris to record 75 rushing yards. And the alt under 45. I'm not going to lie. I kind of love this parlay. It's just an AFC North feeder special. This is the 2 guys most likely to score a touchdown. The 2 guys who are going to get the most carries in this game. Chubb's over for carries, 14.5 is minus 150. So we're talking about these guys are going to get fed. But it's just, I don't know. I was actually surprised at how high it got. I think this one smacks again. I think I'm sweeping the board on parlays this week. I don't know. We'll tell you on Sunday if it happens, but the weekday parlays sweeping the board. Tag along if you do. If you hit it, tweet at me at Will Brinson and at SportsLine as well. So I put it in the Discord before the show. By the way, if it's down to something else now. Sia's not here, so we have no same game part. Does anybody else have a parlay they want to give out? I don't think so. Just trying to be polite.
No,
every under on the board for passing.
That's not bad. You just parlay a bunch of unders. We do have to give out first touchdown scores, and we've all had our first touchdown score bet called back before. BetMGM is giving you a second chance with BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance. Place any first touchdown score bet, and if your player doesn't score first but scores second, get your entire stake back in cash. No opt-in required. Here's how it works. Place a pregame straight first touchdown score bet in any NFL game. If your player scores the first touchdown of the game, win your wager is normal. If your player scores the second touchdown of the game, you'll get your stake back in cash. It's that simple. Log in to BetMGM for more details. And now, the signature portion of the program, where we remind everybody who's hit a first touchdown score bet and who hadn't this year. And right now, it's me and RJ. Oh, that's CeeDee Lamb did not get there. Joe Mixon was the answer. Joe Mixon was like minus 125 first touchdown score. I'll filibuster. Don't worry about it, Nala. So, Danny, actually, RJ gets to go first because he is the one holding the diamond hands. RJ, you actually have my favorite play on the board and a guy that I'm captaining in DFS because I think he's like 1% owned. If he gets there once, oh boy, we are dancing. Who you got?
I got Darnell Washington. I liked it a lot more before Ken started kicking him over and over, saying there's no way he could possibly score a touchdown in this game because of a screw up last week. But, I don't think it has to be an end zone, target. I think he could get it 10, 15 yards out. And then this bad tackling defense just, cannot get a hold of him in the rainy, wet conditions, snowy conditions. And he just, rumbles his way in for a score. Ken's mentioned that the targets per game has gone up in the last 4 weeks. It's averaging 3 targets a game. Those 4 weeks after getting just 7, his first 6 games combined. Why is that? Well, that exactly coincides with the quarterback change. That's when they went to Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson's been targeting him way more than Justin Fields was. So it's possible he's evolving into the number 1 tight end for them, maybe even the 1B to 1A. I think in this environment, you just get him the ball near the goal line and see if he can, bulldoze his way in with his size. So
I'm like
30-1
doing it right now, just how massive he is, and just like little people trying to like claw at him in the wind and rain. It's like, I mean, even in Athens, like in an SEC football field against other SEC teams, that guy was massive, like stuck out
huge.
Like a sore thumb. Sorry to cut you off, RJ.
No, that's my play at 30-1. I'm actually playing him. I actually have him in my account anytime touchdown. It's a plus 750. I think that's
I got him at 11. I got him at 11-1.
Well, I get one book here to Florida, so I got to take what I can get. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I like Darnell Washington.
And by the way, I tried to put in that parlay. I would recommend it on MGM. It's looks like it's like 12-1, the one I had elsewhere. So make sure you use MGM for that. I'm gonna go with the guy who decided to warm up shirtless in his home city. Not his home city, but where he lives now because he plays football there. David Njoku, tight end. I love Darnell Washington. I think it's a great look. I bet Darnell Washington myself. Going to bet him and David Njoku and call it a day. But David Njoku, 13-1. You're getting a really good price on the best short yardage receiver for the Browns in terms of red zone receiving. Elijah Moore may be better when you're out in the open field. Njoku's a big target, big athlete. Out warming up shirtless. He's looking for it, and Jameis will feed him the ball when they get down near the goal line. I do think there's a pretty good chance this is a chalk situation with Chubb or Najee Harris, so I'd be cautious of hammering first touchdown scorer bets in this game. But Njoku at 13-1, no brainer for me. Danny, you are dipping your toe back in. It's going to happen sooner or later. If it's going to happen, this is a good one for it.
You know what I mean? It's going to happen sooner or later. I got to keep rolling with it. RJ and I were talking in the SportsLine Discord. He was going to give out no touchdown, but I said, don't you dare take that from me, my signature type of play. I didn't end up going with it, but he let me have it anyway. I'm going to go with the Steelers defense anyway at plus 2,500 for their opportunistic ability to maybe put one in the end zone against a turnover-prone Jameis Winston. Oftentimes every ball he throws is a turnover-worthy play. So I'm thinking Beanie Bishop, guys like that, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter back there. We got a ton of reliable DBs that could potentially snatch one and take one to the house. We'll see if we get one. Steelers defense or special teams. You never know. That special teams unit, man, behind what's their coach's name? Guy who's chewing a massive wad of gum every game.
Oh, yeah.
He's got them fired up, man. Special teams got to be I don't know what their rankings are, but they have to be top tier of the league. So we got a good opportunity with that unit as well to catch this.
25-1 is pretty good for that too. Don't sleep on Patrick Queen or Peyton Wilson housing one either. Kens, you're going on the Brown side like me. You're muted.
Sorry, guys. I was typing away. I didn't want to bother everyone. I'm on Tillman like I was anytime touchdown. I mean, I think Judy will draw the tougher defensive assignment. Do I agree with it? No, but do I think it opens up a pretty solid spot for me? Yeah, I think he's going to be used just as much. And I just think he just keeps getting underrated. I think 13-1 is a great number for a guy who's had 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Like, that's simple. We're going wide receiver now.
And he and Jerry Jeudy they're like deep shot threats too. So like if they're trying to chunk one deep, look to those guys. All right, let's recap our bets, and then we will get out of here. I'm on the under 37. Najee Harris, anytime touchdown. David Njoku, first touchdown. Danny is on the under 37 as well. Browns team total under 16.5. Jerome Ford over 13.5 receiving yards. And Jalen Warren over 31.5 rush yards, plus Steelers defense to score the first touchdown and special teams. RJ on the Browns plus 3.5. Jalen Warren over 32.5 rush yards. Jameis over 7.5 rush yards. Darnell Washington. I'll tell you, Al, he's a guy. I mean, you can hear him saying that. 30-1. Here's a guy. Kansas on Darnell Washington over 10.5 receiving yards. Hopefully one of those, maybe 2 of those come via touchdown. Nick Chubb over 51.5 rush yards. And Cedric Tillman first touchdown. All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Danny, for Kens, for RJ, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.